I don't know. You just see a player, and there's certain attributes that you want, and I think that Dan Campbell wants someone that's, motivated and loud and excited and, ready to like just bite off kneecaps. And I think that's going to be Aiden.
Yeah, TikTok, I'm just rolling on the block. Marisa took me, heard that. Podcast show about to start. Heard that. You should know if entertainment is your goal. You talking sports or travel, yo. This the hottest pod show. Heard that. She got her shoes, everything she says is truth. If you don't know, now you know. All you ever gotta say is heard that, heard that, heard that, heard that, heard that. Look, all you ever gotta say.
What's up, Heard That Nation, listening in the United States and around the world. You're listening to live right now on the Heard That with Marisa Tigney podcast. If you are watching right now on YouTube, hit that subscribe button because you always want to stay in the know of the fantastic guests that I have on the show with me, including this wonderful lady here that brings the fire every single time on Twitter when it comes to sports, NFL, college football, you name it, she'll bring it. If you think that you're going to challenge her and win, if you don't have the facts, you better get yourself together because she is snatching wigs and taking off ball caps all at the same time. She is a content creator for Multiplicity Media Group, huge Michigan fan, and a fabulous sports goddess on the atmosphere. Welcome to the Heard That podcast.
Well, welcome. I am. That's like the best introduction I think I've ever had.
Listen, you deserve all of it. So let's just jump right into it before I ask you about your love for sports and everything else. The trending topic that's been going on for the past several weeks after, the heartbreaking loss to our favorite squad, the University of Michigan Wolverine football team, which had a phenomenal 12-3 record. Heartbreak loss in the top four, the college football playoff to Georgia, and Georgia ended up winning the whole thing. Well deserved. They beat Alabama. Sorry, Roll Tide. Well deserved for Kirby Smart and his crew. But immediately after the game was over, of course, the media, ESPN, Fox Sports, and all of them started bringing up Jim Harbaugh's name, as they do every single year. You know it. So let me get your take on it. Does Harbaugh stay or does Harbaugh go?
I'm thinking that he's going to stay. It's almost like 100% in my mind, but then there's just like this little tiny sliver that just, thinks that at the end of the day, Harbaugh's going to do what he's going to do in the way that he wants to do it. No one else is going to be telling him or influencing him. It's going to come down to what he wants. So I'd like to think he wouldn't at this point turn his back, given the Elston hire, bring that in. That's another thing, that hire. I don't know if he'd make this move without a head coach being solidified, like on the inside, so there's some things that are playing in. I think that maybe if the chance that he does leave, they have something set up already. So that's why things aren't too crazy. But I just want an answer, if you're going to stay, let's run it. If you're going to go, best of luck. Thanks for being Ohio State and Big Ten championship and getting us to the playoffs, so, you can't really blame him for too much at this point, but.
If the narrative comes down to it, because Miami said that they're not going to, take him away from a great program as Michigan, and it got, some of the fans excited about, okay, possibly Jim is staying. But you got the Raiders, the Broncos, the Giants, Minnesota, and Chicago all looking for head coaches. If it came down to where Harbaugh did make the decision to leave, where do you think that he would be the best fit? Which program?
I think he'd probably fit well in the Raiders job. I don't even like talking about this. It's like, man, I don't want him to go.
Right.
No, but I think, the Giants even have some things going on though. They got a couple draft picks coming up here, high draft picks and
I forgot to mention too, the Jags.
Yeah, but I don't think he'd proceed Urban Meyer's situation. Right. But yeah, I'd probably say Raiders or Giants. That's probably the best fit if he does end up going to the NFL.
I want him to stay as well, and hopefully he does. I don't know if it's like a tease or a ploy that he's doing to drag this out because the media every single year it's a catch-22. We'll see that he can't win the big game, so the media rides off of that, aka Paul Feinbaum, and then all of a sudden now they're singing his praises, and they can't get enough of him, and he should be coach of the year, and then elevate him up to the highest platform. And then unfortunately, we don't do well against Georgia. And then now they think, oh, he's going to go and succeed in the NFL. It's a funny thing. You want him gone? Do you want him to stay? Do you want him to win these awards? Do you want him gone?
Yeah, it's a mess. He's always gonna have the spotlight on him, which that's why it's like no matter where he goes, unfortunately, the spotlight's going to be on him. It's just amplified at Michigan, just because it's a lot easier, I think, to get people that don't like you so much just because you're a Michigan coach or affiliated with Michigan. So it's gonna be interesting to see what he does.
It's interesting. Hopefully we get an answer soon. I think he's staying. I agree with you. I think he's staying. He's still on the recruiting trail and making our program great with these recruits that are coming in. We're in the top 10 as far as, the next teams that we got coming in the football players that signed and made the commitment. So I'm excited to see what we're going to be and where we're going to rank and all that coming into the fall season. But let's switch gears for a little bit, because I want to know, when did you fall in love with sports? Because I've said many times on different various podcasts, as well as on my own podcast, it was when sitting and with my little TV tray with my family, and I'm a child of the 70s. So we had, 3 of the prime networks on CBS, NBC, ABC, and just watching, the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving Day. We got our food in front of us, and we're like conversating and talking it up and talking trash and, who's the best players and all this other stuff. When did your love for sports happen? And when was the first NFL or college team that you can remember that you were like, okay, this is my team. This is who I'm going to root for, and I'm not going to switch teams?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was born into like the whole, born and raised blue and maize. Like I came into a Michigan family, I don't even think I have any cousins on either side of my family, even aunts or uncles that are state fans, to be honest with you. So that's kind of wild to think about. But 5 years old, I remember kindergarten, when you're just like, that's when I realized my competitiveness, because you're like on the playground, playing with other kids finally and stuff. And that's like when I realized my competitive nature. Also, like the same time, I can remember watching my first Michigan game, was the game, dating myself here, 1993. I was 5. And yeah, they were playing Iowa for the homecoming game. And I can like vividly remember sitting in my living room and watching that game. And, I've been a Michigan fan, like I said, since birth. So it just kind of amplified from there. Lions my whole life. I mean, and I've always been known, and any of my friends could attest to this, that, growing up with me, that I've always just been a sports talker. Like, everyone always would say, like, I've never met anyone like you that knows just so many things, though. Like, certain people will know like a lot of NBA or basketball, or like, focus on football the most, maybe a little college sports and stuff. But like, I like to think that I'm pretty well-rounded across the board. So yeah, it's been like that my whole life, though. Like, just the natural love for it.
I just love for me, the excitement, the something about sports that just pulls you right in. Like a good meal, your favorite meal, you have it before you, and all the right sides, the way that it's prepared, with the best drink that, your favorite drink right next to it. That's how I see sports is it either will bring everybody to the table, or it will cause a huge divisiveness at the Thanksgiving table, where everybody's just getting upset and arguing and throwing food and throwing rolls at each other, or whatever the case is. But I see it as more, where it does bring people across the boards, and people got opinions and everything else. And I saw one last night, and I had him on my show, Lion Man, a few months ago, and he had brought up the question: should everybody cheer for Matthew Stafford now that he's part of the Rams? He spent so many seasons with the Detroit Lions, and then now he got his first playoff win against the Cardinals. And the answers, like, pretty much, I put the GIF up there of me pulling up a chair and just having a popcorn and watching this whole entire thing just transpire before my eyes, because people were like, yeah, I'm gonna cheer for number 9, no matter what, he's our quarterback, he's this, he's this. And then you got people across the aisle there going, are you kidding me? He's no longer in Honolulu blue and white. He's now with the Rams. I'm not cheering for him, and so forth and everything else. What's your take on that when you have former Lions players that are going on different teams and they become successful? And I mean, should that still be where, you cheer for them, you don't cheer for them because they're not in the, Detroit Lions colors? What's your thought process as far as that is concerned?
When it comes down to it, it's just, I'm not a fan of anyone trying to gatekeep somebody on how to be a fan. It's probably one of my biggest pet peeves, and being into like sports so much and stuff, I've seen it like my whole life, that it's like, whatever. I joke around about, that if you can't stay loyal to your hometown teams, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's like, anyone can root for who they want. The Stafford stuff is just like beating a dead horse at this point. Like, it's just like, it's so much where it makes me low key almost want him to lose. And I resent being like, feeling like that. I resent that like people are just like being so aggravating with this, that it's like, all right, we get it, yeah, but what if we want a better pick? There's nothing wrong with that either. Like, we're Lions fans. Like, at the end of the day, I'm a Lions fan first. Like, do I want Matthew to succeed? Absolutely. He does deserve it. I mean, he fought for the city and this team for years. And but I'm just old enough to experience where I've lost those big players already in my life. So a lot of this like reaction, I can tell, is like this younger generation who that's all they ever have known. You know what I mean? And so it might be a little harder for them to let go, I guess, in a sense. But it's just, let anyone root for who they want to, when they want to, and just leave it at that.
I think so too. It reminds me too, and I just thought about this while you were saying your answer, the whole Justin Verlander thing. He helped Detroit Tigers get to 2 World Series. Unfortunately, didn't go our way. And then he goes on a Houston team, his Houston Astros team, and then he wins a ring, albeit many of them put an asterisk by it. But he ends up winning a World Series ring. So, part of me was like, okay, my heart is crushed, but he's such a great pitcher and contributed to everything at the Detroit Tigers. Unfortunately, we couldn't deliver, and he delivered on the other team. So if Matthew Stafford does the same exact thing, yeah, I mean, my heart is going to ache because I'm like, man, he couldn't do it in our uniform and it's not us and everything else. But at the same token, too, talented quarterback, you can't get upset at the man for being on a different team that's going to possibly bring them a championship. And something that Jared Goff couldn't do with his old team, he got them there, but couldn't deliver a championship title.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, but like, just the Verlander example, it's like, I wasn't necessarily cheering for Houston to win, but when they did, I was like, you know what, good for him. Like that's just what it could be for me. That's going to be for me too. If Rams somehow, by the grace of God, beat the Bucks and Packers, whoever else they have to, then, I'll be happy for him. But it's not like I'm going to just avidly cheer just because he's on that team. Like, I actually want a different Super Bowl setup.
I hear you. I 100% agree with you. I think it's very important too. And I was looking up at these stats before I was coming on with you. I love that women, that we are a strong force when it comes to the fans. That I think they said about 49% is the last survey that I saw from late summer, early fall of last year, that 49% of fans are female in the football, NFL. And those numbers are going to start climbing very soon. I love that women representation is happening not only in sports as far as fans, but also as, you see it in referees in the NFL, in the NBA. I believe the first NFL referee started in 2015. And then we have 2 female referees that, shattered the glass ceiling right around the mid 2000s. And more we're seeing more females in media, on the sidelines, and now coaching. And the person I think of is Becky Hammond, being an assistant coach on the San Antonio Spurs, and then now she's the head coach of the WNBA, the Las Vegas Aces. When you see that, and myself loving sports, and you loving sports, and you being part of content creator for Multiplicity Media Group, what is your take on that? And going into a new year, do you see more women being involved when it comes to media, when it comes to different things that I just named off? Or do you want to see more of that take off in different areas, more so like more representation in MLB and in the NHL, and we're starting to see somewhat of a climb in NASCAR and everything else. What's your take as far as more female representation as far as those major sports, um, those major sports avenues are concerned?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great thing. It's the evolution of this whole thing. I mean, like I said, growing up, I felt like I was always the only girl, and like, now coming onto like Twitter and these social media platforms, you realize, wow, there's plenty of other women that really do enjoy sports and can feel that passion and sorrow and joy that you get from the game. And so, just to know that like there's other women out there that not only enjoy it, but like want to be content creators, like such as ourselves, that we want to get our voice out there. So I think that it's so important just in like the respect of women and the knowledge that we hold, that people underestimate us for. It's just good that it'll not be such a taboo that women like sports or women are into football and basketball. It should just be the norm, because there's been we've been here all along. It's just not being able to get that voice out in that word. So I think it's great. I love it.
Who is your earliest woman hero that you saw on TV, on the sidelines, or behind the desk, or whatever, that you saw as your role model in sports?
I can't even think of her name. Oh man, you put me on the spot. Oh, what was her name? She was on for ESPN like way back in the day. I don't know. Okay, well, let me just say who the person that I actually like really like idolize now and like truly like aspire to be, like in the humbling sense of just them, who they present themselves as, is that Mina Kimes. Like, I think that she just across the board like represents, having a little sass, having that personality, having that, that ability to say, hey, to, I guess, represent yourself, but then also protect yourself. And I just love everything about her. That is like who I focus on and who I really want to be like and aspire to be. I mean, maybe I have a little bit more of a mouth on me, so it wouldn't be quite like that. But yeah, she's inspiring for sure.
No, I think you do great represent yourself because of, as I said on the top of the show, when especially it's mostly guys. I mean, let's be real, let's be honest. They still don't believe that females know what they're talking about when it comes to NFL, when it comes to NHL, when it comes to basketball, when it comes to certain teams. When we throw stats at them, when we throw players, we know their, how many points they have and everything else, and the record of certain teams and everything else. We still get challenged for it. Like, oh, did you go and look it up? Or, oh, did you Google it? Or, whatever the case is if we don't know what we're doing or what we're saying. And I so agree with you. Like Mina Kimes, mine was, the first female that I saw in my era was Jane Kennedy Overton, being on the NFL on CBS in the 80s, winning the Miss America pageant, and then going from Miss America to the sports booth. And then later on, seeing Robin Roberts at ESPN being the first Black female, right there next to Bob Lee. Bob Lee.
Yeah. She's one of mine too, though. Robin Roberts. That's one of the women I was thinking of. But
yeah, I mean, she was, seeing that face and that representation. You had Linda Cohn, who's been on there forever, Hannah Storm, Erin Andrews, Pam Oliver. The list goes on, and just seeing more opportunities for women in media, whether it be, behind the desk anchoring, calling basketball games now. And we're seeing that, shout out to Doris Burke, just basically paving the way for women to, not only call these games that possibly are maybe or maybe not televised, but the actual big games that are on primetime television, and then post, playoff games and NBA championship games. So it's just like the door is continually opening and evolving for women in sports. And you being a content creator for Multiplicity Media Group, expand on your role. What is it that you do? What is Multiplicity Media Group?
So it's really just we're a platform of all these different content creators across the board. Like, we've got WNBA, we focus on NBA, college football, college basketball. We got some sports betting now, that one of the shows that I produce. And it's really just about, and music and entertainment as well. It's really just about getting all these voices from, all across the nation, the world, wherever, and just, creating a platform for everyone to enjoy and be able to enjoy. So it's, it's just been really exciting launching this and being, one of the first to be brought onto this roster and be here before it actually, all was presented and everything. So I feel lucky in that sense. But what I focus on right now is just I'm doing features and articles. I did some for college football, the playoffs and conference championship games. And then I'm doing a little bit of article writing for NFL. We did some for the playoffs this past weekend, and we'll be doing some for the divisional round, and throughout up into the SuperBowl, we'll be doing that. But ultimately the goal is for me just to build my own brand. That's what's nice about being in this group, is that I still am who I am. I am Lexi. I am my own entity, but like I just have this opportunity to collaborate and like bounce things off the minds of others and be supported while doing that. So I feel very lucky in that sense.
And I love the new logo.
Thank you.
That's fire. Did you pick the colors?
I did. Yeah, it was a little bit of a process, and like it was kind of like I just was thinking, okay, well, what represents me? And like I know that I'm such a like naturally like a tomboy. Give me some like some good sneakers and like a sweatshirt and stuff. And I was like, I just don't think I can like do something like that. And like one thing that I've always been complimented on are my eyelashes, super long, always like out there. They're real 100%. I get it from my mama.
Hey,
and
Mom.
so I was like, okay, well, we'll just run with that, and it was kind of like, with my nickname Lexi and how it was flowing, it worked out perfectly. I love it.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. And I wanted to ask you too, because we're in 18, 19 days into the new year, fresh brand new year and so forth. What is it that you want to do with your brand? Because honey, what you do, what I've seen on social media, it would not surprise me if you just take off this year, because you're so doggone talented. And like I said, you can back it up with the rest of those that come at you with all different kinds of sports opinions and everything else, and you're just not afraid to grab the bull by the horns and say what you got to say. So what is it that you wanted to do last year that you didn't get a chance to do last year that you want to do this year?
Well, ultimately, like the goal for me personally is to like have my own podcast. So that's kind of like in the beginning of the works. I'm not sure when we'll launch that. I want to really kind of get everything solidified first, get a partner and what I'm doing it with, and kind of have a guideline. I have it all set up in my mind. So it's just about putting it all on paper, getting people on board, pitching it and whatnot. So that is my goal. I can't say when it'll happen because I honestly don't know, but that is the goal of this year, is to have my own podcast, YouTube show, and start being able to make money from it and have sponsors and get my name out there and just really enjoy all the benefits of it.
Okay, well, number one, I'll be a big fan of your podcast because I can't wait for you to launch it. Time's ticking. I'm waiting for that to happen. It is, as far as you launching your podcast this year, and it's recorded because I'm going to be holding you to it, because now we have you on tape as well as you being on YouTube. Where is a place that you wanted to go to, like a game that you really wanted to go to, or a team that you wanted to see that you didn't get a chance to see yet, or a stadium that you want to go and visit? Because I love traveling to different stadiums and different arenas and so forth. What is one on your list, one on your bucket list that you really want to go to?
So I want to hit up every Big Ten stadium someday. That's my goal. Mm-hmm. And I was just really busy with all these like weddings and stuff this past year. Like I had like 4 in a row. And so I didn't have time to really travel anywhere. So now that this year's kind of happened, it's I really want to get out to Iowa and get to connect. I mean, that's been my top, Big Ten stadium, just because of the tradition of, waving to the kids in the third quarter and just whatnot. And I know that it's probably going to be a night game because we're playing there. And I think that'll be incredible to watch. So that is that's my number one, is getting out to Iowa. I know it'll be quite a drive, but that's the goal this year.
Besides Michigan, the big house, because that's just the ultimate pinnacle. I mean, because we're the two smartest chicks up in this broadcast right now that love Michigan, University of Michigan, and all things go blue. What is the second best one that you had visited of the Big Ten that you have gone to so far? It could be the football arena, it could be a football field or a basketball arena.
Oh, okay, like just a venue, I guess.
Yeah.
So I really don't, like, to be honest, travel that much. So I'm just gonna say it was really cool getting down to Canton this past year, and into the Pro Football Hall of Fame and that whole like place, and being able to, watch the game the night before and stuff, like, was really cool. So I'll say that was probably like the most unique that I've been to. But I really haven't like traveled to many, like only Big Ten stadiums I've been to are been Michigan and Michigan State. So I need to really get myself out there to save that money so I can start traveling to all these places.
And I'll say this for the record, I ain't got no shame to say it. We should have beat Barty. We should have beat Sparty in the regular season during football. I said it.
I know. I gotta let it go, because if not, it's gonna drive me nuts.
Couple of last questions. I want to ask you, who do you see the Lions picking the number 2 pick in the draft?
Oh boy. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure that the Aiden is going to be number 1. So I think that if he is on the board at number 2, I think he is, and this is not, removing my whole bias from Michigan, he's a Dan Campbell player through and through. I mean, it's like that Aiden was made for Dan Campbell, that fight, that grit, that like heart, that leadership. That's, I know, something that he admires. I can absolutely like just guarantee that he does. So I think that if he is on the board at number 2, that's who we're going to take. But if he does go number 1, I just wouldn't mind, honestly, picking anybody from like Alabama or Georgia's defense. Like, give me one of those guys, give me Kobe Dean, give me Jordan Davis, whatever you need to do. Give me all of that. Like, I'll take it. I'm not really sold on Kayvon anymore though. Just, I don't know. I just think that if you want someone that's going to be like a good player, you need to also be like a good leader too, but leadership wise, but I don't know. He just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, like when I was watching that interview, when he was talking about, and he kind of like shaded Alabama and stuff, but I don't know, you just see a player, and there's certain attributes that you want, and I think that Dan Campbell is going to want someone that's motivated and loud and excited and ready to like just bite off kneecaps, and I think that's going to be Aiden.
What's your takeaway from the last game of the season? Because here's the thing. I don't even look at that we were 3-13-1. That last game, to me, against Green Bay, and mind you, yes, they took Aaron Rodgers out, which I think that our defense did a great job against him, and they put Jordan Love in. What was your takeaway from watching that game? Did they get you hyped to see what happens and what unfolds for the next season? Did it get you to, where was this at the whole entire season? As many of the ridiculous fans were sitting there saying over and over again. What was your thoughts of that after seeing it? Me, I was hyped. I was excited. I wanted the season to continue. I wanted to see where we wanted to, can it be September now? Seeing how beautifully they played, how Jared Goff just was beautiful, just throwing beautiful passes down the field. I mean, I'm going to butcher his name, and forgive me, and I'm sorry. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm sorry. Your brother Equanimus is on the Green Bay Packers. He was incredible that game. DeAndre Swift. I don't know. I was just beyond hype and excited. And then people were telling me, chill out. It's our 3rd win. And I'm like, you can't bring me down today. Don't even talk your mess at me, because I'm just excited about this game and how they played. What was your takeaways from that? Are you hyped? Are you excited? Are you okay? Let's see what next season folds. What did you think?
Yeah. I mean, that was me. I got to go to the game for free actually. So I was pretty excited, like getting down there and
Loved your pictures too, by the way. I was like,
Thank
I'm
you.
jealous.
Yeah, it was a little girls' day out, with my best friend. But yeah, it was exciting. I mean, it wasn't even just like the fact that, I mean, obviously beating Green Bay is always going to be elite. I don't care what anybody says. I'd always rather
Thank
beat
you.
Green Bay in
Thank
any
you.
instance.
Period.
But they've been fighting and playing like that all season. I mean, this team might have been 3 and 13, but like, you know, there was almost like 5 different games we could have won. And it really should have won it, probably at least 3 or 4 more. I mean, comes down to like, record breaking kicks and last minute, last second plays and stuff that, with how depleted this roster has been all year and these injuries, like this team shouldn't have even won 3 games. This team shouldn't have been as competitive with, all these different teams, like from the beginning of the season all the way to the end. But like, these players play that way for Dan Campbell, and it's such a breath of fresh air from Matt Patricia and like that whole god awful Satan system that was there, and like dug us into the ground even farther. So it's been nice all season. I've loved how he's like coached. I love the way he's had the players hype in the locker room. And if a player, especially a grown man, continues to play for somebody after all these heartbreaking losses all season, and can still at the end of the season sit there and say like, this guy brought us here. We're ready. We believe in him. Like that's a lot. Like, because I don't think anybody could easily do that. And Dan Campbell's exceeding with flying colors. That like, it's just apparent that he is a perfect fit for this franchise. And I'm so excited. So excited.
I love the body language when they show the video of them winning and you see everybody is hyped, but everybody, like when Coach Campbell is talking, all eyes are on him, versus when MP was in there and the body language was like, okay, can you just shut up right now? I just want to get showered and dressed and leave. All these guys were dialed in, and that's what I love. I said, this man would run through a brick wall for this team. He would absolutely run through a brick wall for this team. And it's just like, okay, I'm excited to see what he's going to definitely bring with hopefully a new offensive coordinator. I don't know who we're going to get. But I'm excited about what the next season unfolds for Dan Campbell. I think it's going to be a better record. I think that we're going to get the right pieces that are in place. And please tell the people that draft picks, I'm calling people out. I sure am. I'm not going to call you specifically by name, but there was so many salty Lions fans that were upset because of the fact that we won and we were not the #1 draft pick. Draft picks do not matter. The right fit matters. The right pieces matter, in my opinion. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah. I mean, that win was for the culture. Like that win against Green Bay was absolutely for the culture. And yeah, 1 and 2 is not that big of a deal. It's really not. And you look at the #1 picks over like, however many times compared to like anything in the top 10, and it's like you're still fine. I mean, obviously, if it was going from like 1 to 7, I could see people maybe being upset, and I get that, but like it just wasn't worth it for what the price we paid to see everyone bonding together and still having this like hope in this fight, and go out with such a great win. And honestly, like we beat Aaron Rodgers the whole first half. We beat them. So I don't even believe that he stayed in. It doesn't even matter to me. We would still beat them because this team had more fight and heart in that game.
I 100% agree with you on that. Last question for you. When you look at when you have young girls and females that watch this interview, that listen to this podcast, that want to go and either be content creators or be in media and everything like that there, and you getting ready to start your podcast because you excitedly announced it on this show, so we'll be making sure that we hold you to it. But what advice do you have for somebody that's just like, okay, they're watching this and seeing you in your beginning stages, and you just, you're on social media, you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, talking up sports and everything else. And, somebody wants to go down the same avenue as you. What advice would you offer them if they asked you, okay, Lexi, I want to, be a content creator. I want to go into media. I want to go into journalism. I want to do all those things. what piece of advice would you get, or if somebody gave you some sound advice, doing what you do right now that you want to pass on to somebody?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just like staying true to yourself, standing your ground, having an opinion, and like understanding though that yes, it's good like to fight for what you believe in, but like to also be open-minded and try to remove your bias in a lot of these situations, because I can tell myself in the last like 2 years how I've kind of evolved to want to be able to do this is because I've been able to kind of look at situations outside from where I'm at. And it's really, so it's just about staying true to yourself and then keeping an open mind and evolving with everything that comes your way. That's the best thing that I can advise, and just to not let anybody else tell you that you can't do something, because you can. And it doesn't even matter if you're your early 20s or beginning of your 30s like me. Like, you can start this and do this whenever. You just got to have the people, get people that support you and can be there for you, and you can do anything.
That's awesome advice, and that's great sound advice that I hope somebody listening takes that away and applies it to their passions, and realize it's not too late for them to start. Bonus question: who wins the Super Bowl?
Oh gosh. I'm gonna say like my pick before is not, after watching this weekend, I have changed, and I'm going to pick, I know. So I mean, you see these games and how these played, that I'm going to say it's going to be a Bills Bucks Super Bowl, and the Bills are going to win it. Oh, that was my first
okay.
I know. Oh, honestly, you watch how the Bills play. Josh Allen is incredible. He's my fantasy quarterback. He's the reason I won the Super Bowl. One of the reasons. He's just an incredible player. And they've needed to find that run game. They needed to find that kind of spark, and they found it in these last few games and running into the playoffs. I mean, you saw how just a massacre it was of Bill Belichick, and then you can't just do that to Bill and get away with it, But that was just a sound butt whooping. So you can do that. You can win it all, and I hope they do. It'd be cool for Bills Mafia.
I think so too. And then the last image that I remember too is last year, and I know you remember it too, where Stephon Diggs is standing out there watching the Kansas City Chiefs collect their AFC championship, and all the Kansas City colors of confetti was coming down. He stood there. He was watching the whole ceremony. And I was like, man, this will not surprise me if the Bills end up in a Super Bowl and they actually win the whole entire thing. Something that, unfortunately, when Jim Kelly was at the helm, back in the 90s, early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and they went 3 straight years and they couldn't do that. It should not shock no one, as you said, that they get to the Super Bowl and they win it. So I like your pick.
I know. Well, I think too, it'll just be like unique because like, Josh Allen meets Tom Brady again. Like, he thought he could get away. And I mean, here I am like betting against Tom Brady, which is like just the silliest thing to do in sports. But that's just kind of like the situation that I would like to see, an outcome that would be kind of cool.
Forever the GOAT. And can he hurry up and retire? Because I'm ready for him to sign my Michigan jersey. I mean,
I know, right?
He's 44 years young. He's like the Benjamin Button of the NFL. He ages backwards.
I mean, his arm is like better now than when he was in the league. So
yes,
it's mind blowing.
It's absolutely mind blowing. Tell everybody where they can follow you at on social media.
Yeah. So it's Lexi_Go Blue for Instagram. That's my like sports account for that. And then at Go Blue Lexi 117 on Twitter. And then you can also follow Multiplicity Media Group at Multiplicity MG. That's right. And then the content creator, you can check out that website too with all of our articles and features.
Because she's amazing, and y'all need to follow her right now. And I'm putting up her page so those that are watching on social media, look at that cool graphic. Wow. Do not try to steal her graphic. She came up with that. Awesome colors. An awesome conversation with you, Lexi. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And thank you, Heard That Nation, for listening today. And as I always end the show, take care, stay safe, be good to one another. We out of here.
Bye.